All right, well, great to see a turnout for opening session at the 2024 Almond Conference. Thanks for joining us this morning. We have a great panel to talk about endangered species and pollinator habitat and what resources are available to you as a grower or even a handler to help advance these interests in pollinator conservation. I'll maybe start out by sharing some data on how robust the response has been among growers to add pollinator habitat on and around their orchards. Based on data from the California Almond Stewardship Platform, or CASP, which I hope some of you participate in because it gives us this great data on which to tell our industry story. So we've seen now that 20% of orchards, almond orchards, plant a pollinator-specific cover crop, and that's a fourfold increase in just 3 years. So we've seen a really robust response in both offering the agronomic benefits of a cover crop, but also the benefits to pollinators. Research funded by the Almond Board shows that pollinator-specific cover crop, honeybees coming out of those orchards are actually healthier than coming out of a standard orchard. And adding pollinator habitat outside the orchard also offers a lot of benefits. 86% of the farms that are registered as bee-friendly farms, and you'll hear more about that program from Billy Sink today, are in almond orchards. That requires adding permanent habitat outside the orchard, and research shows that those additional floral resources outside of an orchard, hedgerow, a floral strip, provides a net benefit to native pollinators, even in the face of some risks associated with pesticide exposure. So a really powerful way for us to help native pollinators. So again, if you haven't participated in CASP, I encourage you to go down to the almond booth and look into that. It's been a really important way for us to track adoption of practices in our industry and to use that data to speak to the marketplace, to consumers, to food brands, as well as to policymakers. We're facing the listing of several pollinators under both state and federal Endangered Species Act. Here in California, there are 4 native bees that are being considered for listing under the Endangered Species Act. And at the federal level, we expect today to hear about the listing of the monarch butterfly. So we want to take this opportunity, if you already have pollinator habitat, or you're considering it, because we still have a lot of great resources to help you out, to make you aware of the options that we are in discussions around to provide legal protection to growers so that you are not at any risk for having taken those voluntary steps to add these benefits to both honeybees and native bees alike. So we'll start out our panel today with Ashley Blackford with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service here in the Sacramento Regional Office. Billy Sink from Pollinator Partnership, who will talk about the resources that they can bring to bear, including grower grants that are available to you. Erin Arnstein from Monarch Joint Venture will speak next, and she'll talk about their habitat, Working Lands Habitat Program that, again, offers free resources to growers. And then last, but certainly not least, Stetson Maldonado from Project APISM, who can talk about the Seeds for Bees program. So we'll get a chance to hear what's happening on these endangered species listings, as well as then what resources are available to help you put in pollinator habitat. And I'll say this again at the end, but make sure that you visit the Grower Incentive Zone, because you can learn about these resources plus many others, including with RCDs who help with pollinator habitat. And then many of these groups also have a booth down on the expo floor. So make good use of the free resources available to you. And with that, I'll turn it over to you, Ashley, to talk about what's happening on endangered species listings.
Sure. So I didn't know I was going to get open forum. So as many of you are aware, the monarch butterfly was a year ago. We put the species on a candidate list. So it means that it was warranted for listing, but precluded for other priorities. And so we are scheduled to be making a listing determination on the monarch butterfly. And in fact, we're anticipating that will be announced later today, coming from DC. We are anticipating that the species is going to be listed as threatened with a 4D rule. And really, we're going to be looking to do the Endangered Species Act in a slightly novel way, really looking for opportunities to encourage monarch conservation and we recognize that this species, we really need everyone working together to conserve and benefit the species, and that means enlisting our growers, our federal lands, our state lands, and everyone to make a difference to benefit the species. And we're also aware, like Josette said, there's a number of other bee species that are on our work plan, which means that we are been petitioned to evaluate the species for listing. And so as we do good things for monarchs and others, we know that this is going to benefit those bees. And so enrolling in programs, like Josette was saying, or taking action with the Fish and Wildlife to enlist in a conservation benefit agreement, which is our new proactive voluntary program where you can take steps to do beneficial actions that will and receive take coverage. I know that's a lot of jargon. But by enrolling in these programs and counting your habitat, logging that in some program, that's going to enable the Fish and Wildlife Service as we evaluate the species in the future, as we consider other species for listing, to pull that information and really understand all the wonderful things that are happening out there so we can account for that in the environment and make sure we're giving credit where credit is due for those actions. And so I think that's a valuable piece of how we're working together, is to ensure that we understand all the wonderful things that growers are doing, whether it's enlisting in Be Better Farming or Be Better Certified, any of the programs that are, and other programs that are out there, or even a conservation benefit agreement, so that we can really take that those actions and understand them and include them in our species evaluation.
Great. So I just wanted to underscore that there are mechanisms that can protect growers who voluntarily add habitat, and to just let the audience know that together with the Almond Alliance, we are exploring those options with both the state and federal wildlife services. So don't want you to leave thinking that this is a risky practice to undertake on your orchards. Billy, could you talk us a little bit through some of the resources that Pollinator Partnership has working with growers?
Absolutely, yeah. Good morning, everyone. I'm glad to be here, and thanks to Almond Board and Josette for the invitation. And just to kind of bridge a gap between what Ashley was saying, to repeat that, that conservation benefit agreement, so that's a mechanism. How do you put it? It's a mechanism to protect what you guys are doing. So the habitat that you're going to install, this signals to the public, to policymakers, to everyone that, you're not the problem. Growers aren't the problem. Land managers aren't the problem. They're the solution, actually. So I'm going to talk today a little. My outline is I'm going to mention a federal grant that we're working with, a state grant, a National Fish and Wildlife Foundation grant, our certification program, and just go over real quick, high-level resources. And it's a lot of names and acronyms, but if you only remember one thing out of my talk today, it's that we have resources for you, especially for almond growers, but just about every grower here in California. Resources to help you meet your sustainability goals, whether they be soil, water, air quality, that sort of thing. Protecting and providing more resources for pollinators, as well as actually get you money in your pocket for doing the habitat itself. So, mentioned I'm with Pollinator Partnership. Our mission is to promote the health of pollinators, critical to food and ecosystems, through conservation, education, and research. The federal grant that we got from NRCS and a lot of these grants are very similar, and that's actually a good thing for understanding them. The goal is to increase pollinator habitat and forage, right? Increase the diversity and the abundance of pollen and nectar resources at critical times of year. For almond growers, that would be the spring to boost their bees, but other times of year as well into the fall. A lot of times habitat does a really good job at increasing beneficial insects, which help control pests. That's part of an IPM, integrated pest management program. And this work can demonstrate how folks like yourself, really progressive folks, can actually get out in front of regulations and set the tone and be an example to others. These programs, depending on the grant, they are active in some counties versus others. You don't need to remember that. We can help you figure all that out. And it covers a wide range of practices, more than what is just listed there. So again, you don't have to know what all those are, and I can help you with all the definitions. There's a lot of overlap actually between these different practices. They have different goals, purposes, obviously implementation practices are different, and you can do more than one. So you could sign up with the program and do cover crop in your middles, hedgerows, next side of the orchard. Maybe you've got a strong north wind, you want to install windbreaks, tree and shrub establishment, that sort of thing. So that number at the bottom there, that's ours for the taking. That's what we want to hook you guys up with. The project partners are a number of different folks. This photo was actually taken last year at the Almond Board conference. These partners help us in the program become stronger, get the word out, etc. This grant, we're just starting it out, so kind of the next steps is working with growers, enrolling them. Kind of stronger applications do get put to the top of the pile, of course, but I do want to stress is that there's something everyone can do. Not most people can't do everything, but everyone can do something, and it'll be my job to kind of help figure out what that is. Site visits, meetings, phone calls, whatever it takes. Implementation testing is in the fall of 2024, and then we're going to be enrolling in installing habitat in the next 2 years for that program. This is the state program. CDFA is funding this. Again, very similar. It is, sure, it's focusing on folks that had to take out some land, but really it is for everyone. Again, these same types of practices. We use the NRCS practice standards and modify them slightly if we need to. This is a 2-year program, and we just finished our first year with that. Again, you're going to see a lot of these same practices: hedgerows, conservation, cover, and cover crops really are the biggest 3 most popular ones. And they have really attractive incentive rates. I've done this a lot, and it doesn't need to be that expensive. A little bit of site prep in terms of weed control, soil preparation, installing a drip irrigation line, and getting plants that actually are our table downstairs. We have some examples of the sizes and the types. And those are $4-5 a piece. Well, for hedgerows, the payment rate is $12 a linear foot. So there's a lot of money left over for you to use long-term management for the practice, the habitat, or something completely different. Monarch Wings Across America, this is a separate grant program that's going on right now. The program name we have happening in California right now is actually Monarch Wings Across California Almonds, so it's directly for almond growers. Again, very similar to the first 2 programs I was talking about. There are our goals and our metrics that we need to hit. This photo is actually a grower enrolled in this program, and we installed this in October. Bee-friendly farming is, it's not a grant program, it's our certification program, and it allows growers to kind of really just talk about what they're doing. The administrative side is not too complicated. It teaches and incentivizes folks how to install and incorporate different habitat and other pollinator-friendly practices, like providing water for bees, encouraging folks to apply crop protection materials in the evening when bees aren't active, that sort of thing. And as consumer demands change and increase, you have different processors, different wholesalers. They're looking for that type of label, looking for the partners and the growers doing this type of work, and it just kind of tells them and gives them an idea of what's actually going on the farm without being there on a daily basis. Here are kind of totals of all the farms that we have certified and acres. And we have a new third-party option. So a completely independent party will come and certify and help bring more notoriety to it. We also just generally have consulting services. We'll engage with anybody that's interested. Sometimes this is just a 20-minute talk on the phone. We share resources, that sort of thing. It can be much more involved, and we've had companies engage with us and write up a contract to where I'm creating a whole site plan and creating species list and contacting nurseries and doing plant procurement and everything, that sort of thing. But with all these other grant opportunities, why pay for our services when you can actually not only get free plant materials, but actually paid to do the practice itself? And these are all photos of our habitat. Actually, this is Christine Gemperle's orchard. She's in the audience, I saw. And again, what you're going to get here on this list from contacting us and engaging us in consulting are the same types of things that you'd get in one of these grant programs anyhow. There are some resources. That one on the left is a really good resource. It has just about every plant that you could use for pollinators. We talk a lot about pollinators. These are multifunctional habitats as well. They're helping monarch butterflies. I don't really know that much about birds, but upland songbirds and pheasant and that sort of thing. So I think that is my last, there we go, that's my last slide.
Great, thanks, Billy. I'll just underscore, I think I heard about close to $3 million worth of grower-focused grant assistance under those programs that Pollinator Partnership mentioned, many of which are specific to almond growers. So really make sure that we use all those funds up. It's a great opportunity for you to add some agronomic value to your orchard, and whether it's soil health or beneficial insects or having healthier honeybees, in addition to getting recognized as helping ecosystem services as well. So definitely great programs that you mentioned. Over to you, Erin, to talk about the Monarch Joint Ventures Working Lands Program.
Pass me that, please. Thank you. Okay, thank you all for having me here today. So my name is Erin Arnstein. I'm with Monarch Joint Venture. I'm going to talk to you all about one of our programs called the Monarchs and More Western Habitat Program, and I'll also talk to you about some of the other opportunities that we offer with Monarch Joint Venture. So that's me. If you want to find me, that's what I look like. So the Monarch Joint Venture is a national organization, and our main goal is to conserve the monarch butterfly. And by conserving the monarch butterfly, we also hope to conserve other species as well. We consider the monarch to be the ambassador species for other species. Some people have called it the gateway bug. So it's a species that we're all kind of paying attention to, and by way of paying attention to it, it allows us to see what's going on with other species. It's an indicator species for other things like native bees, honeybees, all sorts of birds, all of that. So our main goal is conserving the monarch and more. And we do that through our 4 different pillars of education, science, partnership, and habitat. So this is an overview of our Western collaborations. Just a few of the programs that we're working on. We work with the Bureau of Land Management, the Department of Defense, the California Association of Resource Conservation Districts, the Monarchs in More Western Habitat Program, which is what I'll focus on. And then we also do the Integrated Monarch Monitoring Program, which is a data collection program. So for the Monarchs in More Western Habitat Program, it is a program that provides regionally specific native wildflower seed mixes, and we're all California native with our seed mixes, which is beneficial because they are drought tolerant. So they can this habitat can go in marginal areas on your farms, around your homes. So we want this habitat to be more permanent if possible, because we also provide milkweed plugs, which is the sole host plant for the monarch butterfly. So the milkweed plugs are deciduous perennials, so they'll lose all their leaves in the winter time, and then they'll come back in the spring. I get so many calls from the land stewards that I work with who are like, "Oh, my milkweed has died." So that I always mention that just as a heads up. It'll come back in the spring. And we also provide technical assistance. So if you need help with anything, you can call us or email us. We have a habitat help desk, which is kind of for general questions. And you can find that on our website, monarchjointventure.org. So for the program, to be eligible for the program, you have to be in the state of California. The acreage, we normally like to see at least a 1/4 acre of habitat, but this 1/4 acre can be separated out into patches. So if you only have, like corner pockets, I've heard them called, in the corners of your farm or around your home, you could actually create a nice habitat that is spread out, that can actually create a movement corridor for these mobile species like monarch butterflies and bees. And aside from that, do I have more down there? Yeah, so we just request that you guys do site preparation, and we can help advise on that. Most farmers already know how to do all of that, so that makes our job easier. And then 3+ years. So if it can be, we like to see the habitat be in the ground for at least 3 years. Ideally, that habitat is permanent and can be there into perpetuity. The great thing about the wildflower seeds is if managed properly, they will reseed themselves, and they're California natives, so they will kind of go through their native process, senesce, and then reseed themselves and come back the following year. And then the milkweed plugs will also come back the following year. So this is just kind of an overview of that again. I include this little chart with any of our participants. It has all of the species that are in your seed mix. We usually have about 19 to 25 species of native wildflower seeds in the seed mix. And you'll get a identification chart that has a seed, a seedling, a plant, the leaves, the flowers, so you can kind of identify it as it grows. It's kind of a search and find. If you have anyone on your farm, I've had people go out with these guides, and it's a kind of a good PR thing too. I don't know if anyone does farm tours, but that's a good one. The other thing I wanted to speak to everyone about is habitat monitoring. So we offer a program called the Integrated Monarch Monitoring Program. It is a community science program that provides data for not only your farm, but if you're open to it, it also provides data to other scientists who could use information to understand better where the monarch butterfly is and what other species are occurring on your farm. I listed some other community science programs here too, if you're interested. We have a whole handout at our table that we can show you all. So the Integrated Monarch Monitoring Program is not just monarch butterflies. We're not just looking for monarch butterflies. We also will give you a full suite of the blooming species on your property, so you can kind of see the before and after picture. And we can do that for any of these programs. So if you wanted to get some baseline data to compare it to some data later on, the IMMP is a great standardized way to do that. And we also have a lot of training with the IMMP. If you're a really big nerd like me and you want to learn how to do it, we could show you how to do it yourself. So this is just a QR code if you wanted to sign up for the Monarchs and More Western Habitat program. We have a lot of information at the tables as well. Right now it's just a simple interest form that has your name and your email address, and we will take these applications on a rolling basis and get back to you once you submit an interest form. This is just a spread of some of the flowers that some of the stewards in the past have received in their seed mixes. And then I always like to include this because I feel like a lot of folks don't know that there are several species of milkweed, the host plant for the caterpillar, across the state of California. There's actually 15 species, and they're beautiful. They're the most beautiful flowers. They smell really good, and they attract so many other species besides monarch butterflies. Lots of honeybees and native bees and beneficial insects. So if you're looking for a plant that can kind of do it all, milkweed is great. So with the endangered species listing, Monarch Joint Venture does have a place on our website that is going to keep updated information as this process occurs. So at monarchjointventure.org, we have information about kind of the history of the listing, if you wanted to dive a little bit deeper into that process, where it's at. And one of my favorite resources, if you all want to jot this down, we also have QR codes at our table, but the farmersformonarchs.org has a really wonderful blog series on the ESA listing and kind of what that means for farmers, and it'll stay up to date as we get more information. And the thing that I love about it is they've created audio versions of the blog, so you can actually just listen to it while you're on the tractor or doing whatever on the car. I listened to it the other day driving my car, so it's really convenient to have that audio. I just wanted to highlight our wonderful partners. I think everyone here is a partner. Monarch Joint Venture is made up of over 130 partners. So if you are an organization or a corporation and you're interested in joining our partnership, it's a really wonderful way to have connections and networking opportunities with other organizations that have, interests in monarch conservation and other insect conservation. And then this is just contact information if you want more information about the Monarchs and More Western Habitat program. Again, my name is Erin, and we also have all of these other general emails if you're interested in any of the other programs, monitoring, science, habitat, education. Any of those opportunities are available for you there. Thank you all.
Great, thanks, Erin. I've had a chance to visit some of the farms that have participated in the Western Monarch program, and I just underscore, it seems like the most popular place to put the habitat that you offer is like the driveway up to your house on the farm, because it's outside of the orchard, so you get a little separation there to protect those pollinators, but it also adds a lot of beauty to that driveway up. There really are pretty wildflowers, so just underscore the dual benefit to pollinators and your aesthetics on the farm.
For sure.
Stetson, so I'm always reminded that Project Apis M is actually a child of the Almond Board, started by former staff member who had a passion for honeybees and left the Almond Board to go start Project Apis M. So a long history of relationship between the two organizations that kind of mirrors the natural biology of almond trees and honeybees being related. If you could talk about the Seeds for Bees program and some of the things that you guys do, because this is being inside the orchard, focus on cover crops while blooming cover crops are selected for the benefit to pollinators, really offers a lot of agronomic opportunities as well.
Yeah, so I'm Stetson. I'm the manager of the Seeds for Bees program. So Seeds for Bees is a program that's under Project APISM. So Project APISM is kind of like, has its fingers in a lot of different pots. They do research, they do a lot of funding. So I'm just going to focus on Seeds for Bees. And so what we do is re-award free or subsidized cover crop to farmers and beekeepers within the state of California. So it's a 2-year program. First-year participants can get up to $2,500 worth in free seed. All of our seed mixes have different seeding rates, but for first-year participants, if you used a mix like our Pollinator brassica, that is up to 80 acres of cover crop. And then second-year participants get up to $1,500 worth in free seed. And then after that, people can continue returning to the program, and they can purchase discounted cover crop seed from us. What's really exciting is this year, more seed was purchased from the program than was awarded. And I feel really honored, especially in this economic system. I have farmers coming to me to buy our product. And that just shows that people are seeing results and they're seeing benefits that they're willing to pay for. What was really funny is I was talking to one of our farmers who's been buying seeds from us for a few years, and he said, "Stetson, it's not fair. You gave me enough seed to get addicted, and now you're making me buy this." So it's really fun. I enjoy it. Another benefit of the program is not only just myself, we have other staff here. Brett, if you want to wave your hand so people can see her. We also have Brett, you can talk to her. But we offer a lot of advice. We're always available for people who are looking for solutions to their problems. So all of our cover crop mixes meet different needs. So each one helps pollinators on the farm. They're there for bees, they bloom really early, but they also offer other benefits that farmers really need, such as we have nitrogen fixing mixes that can get some nitrogen on your farm. The most popular one actually this year was our Nitro Builder, which can fix up to 100 pounds of nitrogen per acre, depending on how much growth you get out of that. And that can really help, especially with almonds needing 65 pounds of nitrogen per 1,000 pounds of nut. Mm-hmm. So obviously it's not going to cover everything that you need, but that's a big help. And as someone who used to sell agriculture products, that means a lot to me that I could provide something for free that's meeting your needs. So you can always email me, you can always call me. That's actually part of our application process, is I'll give you a phone call. So I should probably back up a little bit, I could ramble. So our application is open from April 1st to August 31st, so it's the 2A months. What you do is you fill out an application, it takes about 10 minutes, and then you'll get a phone call from me, and we'll talk about your application, we'll talk about your needs, and a lot of that phone call is actually selecting what seed mix works best for you. And that could be really beneficial because before Seeds for Bees, I actually used to manage a couple 100 acres of almonds and walnuts. I also used to manage a vineyard and a Christmas tree farm. And I've actually managed farms that used cover crops. Actually, the job before this, I was managing a Seeds for Bees cover crop. So it's so funny how small this world is. So I can tell you, especially from my own experience and from other farmers' experience, what's going to help you the most. And then what issues each mix could give you and what you're going to need. And I find that that's really beneficial, especially when I was managing farms and I didn't know anything about cover crops. There was a lot of lessons that needed to be learned, such as with the Christmas tree farm I used to manage, the previous manager had planted a clover cover crop. And I don't know where they got this or what this was, but it was the most cantankerous clover I've ever met. And it would have these thick, ropey vines, And that wouldn't really matter if it was an almond orchard, you just mow it. But when you're using a cover crop in a Christmas tree farm where you have customers walking and tripping on this plant, that's a big issue. And so that's something that I could help people avoid if you happen to have a Christmas tree farm. I don't know too many. Most almond farmers aren't too worried about people walking through and cutting down their trees. But yeah, we're always here to help, and we could always reach out to us. And our program actually stacks with all of these. I think all of us stack together. I have a number of Seeds for Bees people that tell me about what Billy's up to and what Erin's up to. They're sending me pictures of milkweed, and they're like, the cover crop looks great. And I'm like, that's a different one. But I love pictures of all things. And we're also entirely donor funded. So we actually stack with any federal and state grant as well. So you don't have to worry that you're going to miss out on something else because you used us. I think that's everything I had for the talk. We actually have a table just outside this door. So if you have any more questions, if you want to get papers or even my business card, or if you want to talk to Brett, we're going to be right there. So I look forward to hearing from you guys.
Great. Well, thank you all. Been great partners of the industry, and I hope you guys heard of some resources that you might avail yourself of, and reassure you to, again, visit these booths while you're here this week. But I think we have plenty of time for questions from the audience. I think you just have to speak loudly.
I just wanted to say something real quick.
Sure.
That's tremendous growth, Stetson. It's really good to hear. And I just wanted to kind of repeat a point she made that, this is a pollinator themed talk. We've got pollinators in the names of our organizations. It's important to remember, especially really for all these practices we mentioned, but I'm just going to highlight cover crops, is that what we've been seeing, what growers are telling us, is that the agronomic benefits are actually at the top of the list in terms of breaking up compacted soil, increasing the water holding capacity, controlling weeds, that kind of stuff. The benefits to pollinators, if in your mind that's second or third or fourth on your list of reasons why you're doing it, that's totally okay with us. In fact, we think that's actually a good way to approach it. Really, it's smart farming that happens to also help pollinators in the process.
Great.
Josette, I wanted to add.
Yeah, please.
So, big picture, I just want to acknowledge, similar to Billy, really obviously the goal of this whole group is to promote pollinators, and I just want to reiterate, in case it wasn't clear earlier, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service as an agency really sees agriculture as one of our strongest allies and partners when it comes to pollinator conservation moving forward. And more specifically, in our region in California, our leadership is very vested in figuring out solutions and practices that we can implement together to support pollinators, whether it's monarchs or any of the bees that we're going to be coming up and reviewing. And so we are vested, and we've got a number of folks working integrated in some of these programs, looking for opportunities to get other federal programs like NRCS more engaged, to find more funding opportunities. We know this comes at a cost to you, even because Stetson's going to get you hooked, and then you're going to have to pay. And so we're looking for ways to integrate into the native seed opportunities, ways to lower the prices so that this can really be a more economical venture for you all. So just when you know, the Fish and Wildlife Service is a partner in trying to advance this work, and please, if you have questions, reach out to us. We really do want to figure out a way to move this all forward and to be working together as partners to advance conservation and pollinator benefits.
Great. So I think we've all kind of heard money should not be the barrier, because there's a lot of programs that have already been funded. The Almond Alliance has a pollinator habitat program as well, which you can learn about out there. The resource conservation districts, of several of which, are out there as well. Xerces Society just announced some free milkweed programs. So really, cost of the plants and installation should not be the barrier if you're interested in going in this direction. Great. With that, I want to thank all of our panelists for joining us this morning. And thank you for attending. Again, these folks will be available either in the incentive zone or down on the expo floor, so make sure you catch one of them if you're interested in talking further, and enjoy the rest of the Almond Conference.